Hello, everybody. It is Jonathan from Radio Tokyo, and this is a surprise redo of my Fantastic Four movie review. The reason for the whole surprise review is I was actually looking at some stuff that people had said about the movie, and there was a lot of things, like I mentioned earlier, that didn't quite make sense to me. Just just the big, just the big um, plot issues, that didn't quite make sense. Like the reason that the whole group was, the way they got their powers in a different, in different ways. The reason Victor Von Doom looks the way he does. The reason why there are certain things that go on that didn't make any damn sense to me initially. It's because, surprisingly, this is not normal universe Fantastic Four. Apparently, there was a decision somewhere along the lines, either at Marvel or at Fox, or the director or the writers and whatnot, who decided that there need to be some changes, and that's fine. Everyone expects changes, to movies made from comic books or video games. Just look at the Super Mario Brothers movie to see what the changes can be. But anyway, with this new information in mind, I'm going to redo my review of it, and I will start by saying that I actually have a brand new level of appreciation for the Fantastic Four film for this. Okay, first off, this is not the normal, Earth 616, whatever it is we're on now, or were for Fantastic Four. This is the ultimate Fantastic Four. Now, it's been discussed that within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this version of the Fantastic Four exists, as does the original two uh, Fantastic Four movies. They exist simultaneously, and they do not somehow cancel one another out. Uh, Along with that is supposed to be the fact that the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies also exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, what that means is that any character that we have more than once that's different theoretically also exists as well, which means that the version of Deadpool that was in X-Men Origins Wolverine could presumably exist too. It's weird to think about, but that seems to be the way things are set up. Now, as I said, this is supposed to be more Ultimate Fantastic Four. Ultimate Fantastic Four was done along with Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Spider-Man, and so on. It's not always a popular redoing rather, of these certain series, but it is certainly appreciated in its own way. Now, earlier I mentioned that Susan Storm was from another country. I don't believe she is in Ultimate Fantastic Four or any version, but it does explain how it was she came to be a part of the Storm family. She was adopted from another country, while apparently I'm guessing Franklin Storm was there, and that, now keep in mind, this is not the comics. This is specifically the movie. Uh, Franklin is known to have been in Europe and has some dealings with the Von Doom family. Now, as we know, Victor Von Doom is from Latveria, which, by the way, correction from earlier, yes, it is shown he is from Latveria. So that's how he met Victor Von Doom. So it's presumable that he just came across, Susan Storm, over in Kosovo or Ukraine, wherever it was she was at. Actually, I believe it was Kosovo in the film. Uh, and I feel really safe saying this was, the late 90s or somewhere around in there, just after the war took place. So it was presumable she was an orphan. He adopted her, brings her home. Johnny is actually his biological child, and which explains the age difference. She would be roughly the same age as Reed Richards and Ben Grimm. Now, here's the kicker: all these actors and all the characters they portray are actually younger, and that is a tie-in from the Ultimate Universe that goes hand in hand with that. So that explains them being younger. That explains how it is she came to be adopted in the movie. Um, Victor Von Doom, as I mentioned earlier, I had an issue with his comic design, or rather the design of the character in this particular movie. That is also, believe it or not, from Ultimate Fantastic Four. The only thing that I cannot think of off the top of my head that was actually done in the movie, to tie that together, was the fact that Ultimate Doctor Doom, the Ultimate version of Doctor Doom, has actually got cloven feet. He is supposed to represent more, being the devil, basically. Okay. Uh, the transportation pod accidents, that's Ultimate as well. They traveled there, and all the characters were affected, and which is what you see in the film. That explains why Victor Von Doom has actually got more powers than in this movie than he does in any other iteration of the Fantastic Four. It's because he is infused directly with this particular energy. Um, what was done in the comic version of him is that his entire skin became metal, and they did that by just having his exosuit, whatever suit it was that he wore in there, actually fused with his body. So as I mentioned earlier, that's fine, that's dandy. What kept him alive was the planet's energy itself, and that was in the movie. Okay, as far as them getting their powers, everything is basically the same. Now, there was a scene after I got to thinking about it, after Reed Richards is brought back to area. In the movie, it was called Area 57. Okay, um, what you see in there is him kind of stretched out. He's naked with a towel over him. And a bunch of doctors are looking at him. There was a line. It was someone off screen who mentions him not having any bone density. That is also Ultimate Fantastic Four. Reed Richards no longer has bones. He is able to physically keep himself together. There is another scene where you see him fixing his eyes, and for the rest of the movie, he no longer has glasses on. But as you see in every version of him, like the childhood Reed Richards and whatnot, you see him with glasses. He's able to stretch his eyes. Now that again, Ultimate Fantastic Four. Okay. Um, he is also able to, in the comics at least, become infinitely smarter because he can stretch his brain and thus create more uh, synaptic connections and everything. That does explain why in the movie he seems to get smarter. Now you don't see, it's not referenced, but he is able to formulate reactionary plans to everything in the middle of another universe on an alien planet with Victor Von Doom hurling rocks and stuff at him. Okay, so he's a lot smarter under pressure than most people are going to be. Um, it's pretty interesting to look at the movie from the perspective I have now because I realize, hey, there's a lot of things there that I missed initially, and it gives me a much greater appreciation for the film because I realize now it's Ultimate Fantastic Four. It's not, the traditional version, which is what we got with the initial two movies. Um, so please, if you go see this, bear in mind this is not traditional Fantastic Four. That's why, like I said, that's why they're younger. That's why they seem to have a little different amount of powers. That's why all the character differences are there, including Johnny Storm being a little troublemaker, which he is in the movie. He races cars and gets in trouble and breaks his arm. That's a reference to that. Ben Grimm's brother is a little more violent towards him because he leads a street gang. Now that's something that is referenced in most Fantastic Fours versions of that. But that's, it's hinted at that he's pretty violent, because he's, slapping around his much younger brother and everything. You don't see Reed Richards being bullied as a kid, but you do see him doing the career day, as I mentioned, and there is also the science fair, which is again Ultimate Fantastic Four. So with all the problems that are still in the movie, I understand, these changes, and I hope that maybe, knowing this from me might help you have a better view of it. Now, there is a chance that there will not be another Fantastic Four movie made with the same director by Fox Studios and whatnot. There are some definite changes from what we saw in the teaser trailer. Namely, there is a scene where Ben Grimm is hanging underneath a jet or a helicopter or something, and he drops down to the ground. That's not in there. There's a bunch of stuff that it turns out was actually cut from the movie for one reason or another. So what you have is a very, very rough movie to get through. It's very difficult. There was a lot of stuff that was added in later, and it extended the shoots, and they were disconnected by X amount of time. But all things considered, again, being able to look at it in a different light, I understand the movie. I appreciate it more, and I hope you'll listen to my other review of it and what I had to say in there, and then you'll listen to this one, and you'll consider going and seeing it. And if you can, try and get everyone else to go see it, because it's actually good when you understand that this is it's supposed to be this way. It was not just a decision that was made to try and reboot the to reboot the storyline. It was actually based off of the comics. Now again, like I said, the Ultimate comics are not that well received. I get why. Okay, it's entirely different. It's not what we're used to. Go see it. Make up your own mind. Anyway, we'll have our Friday show tomorrow. Danny is supposed to be here. So, okay, just, look out for her. Anyway, have a great night. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Like us on Facebook, message us, whatever. We're trying to put out more content as we can. Thank you for listening. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.